Hi everybody and welcome to the garage. How sweet it is. How chilly it is. Peter's here. Peter Clayton's here. Gary's walked in with a glass of red.
Afternoon, Jeremy.
Welcome everybody to the court of public opinion. And I don't know what you'd call it. Somebody coined the phrase when they saw this place, the Taj de Garage. The Taj de Garage. I don't mind. I think that's fine.
Absolutely.
I'll take that. As I say, it's pretty chilly. Tuesday, it was down to 2 degrees. And in here, I swear it's 2 below at the moment. It's chilly. 1,600 new flu cases this week. Over 10,000 so far this year. I know, I'm one of them. But please get the needle. And people did message me on Facebook and asked me if I'd had the needle. Yes. Yes, I don't believe the needle gave me the flu. It probably stopped it being more severe. Now this thing can kill. 5,382 hours spent ramping at South Australian hospitals. This is the second worst month on record, ladies and gentlemen. Yet Mally, he just smiles and he gets away with it. I'll fix ramping. Now these media types who are there to question him, I think they must be either looking the other way or perhaps they're looking for a government job. I don't know, got no idea. But speaking of the weather, 6 million people affected in Texas by these shocking flash floods. 78, many of them children, known to have lost their lives. And that's the count. That's the body count at the moment, and they're still counting. And we are so very, very sorry. We are here in Australia. Apologies for last Friday around the dining room table. The server, I think that's the expression, isn't it?
Yes.
The server failed. Nothing to do with the maid, or the food, or the wine. This is the thing that gets the program from the table up to the World Wide Web. That's about all I know. But I'm told, I'm promised, that everything will be good for this coming Friday. I promise. Or I don't know what we'll do. Because it's very disappointing. I mean, it's terrible to have to ring all the guests that you've lined up. Ring them up and tell them that we can't get the show to air. Anyway, very pertinent news just yesterday afternoon. The verdict, Erin Patterson, guilty of murder and attempted murder. She showed no emotion from the accused. It's long been known that the preferred murder weapon of women is poison. But after following the case for all of these weeks, and I'm sure you have too, because it's garnered a lot of worldwide attention, I still don't see the motive. People don't go out there and kill or try to kill 4 people, kill 3 and try to kill 4. There has to be a motive. But at the time of this posting, there has been no appeal lodged, but it wouldn't surprise me if she did. My guess is that there will not be any time soon an Erin Patterson cookbook. Well, the RBA meets today, and because the economy continues to be weak, rates will be cut. 0.25%, 0.25%. It's probably timely to remind you that falling interest rates are a sign of, or remedy for, a weak, failing economy. We mightn't like it, but rising interest rates indicate a booming economy. They're trying to slow it down. We have here a shocking indictment of the Labor government's leadership and present policies. Importantly, renewables. A weak economy showing no sign of confidence or growth when we should be enjoying the exact opposite. Beginning of the year, house prices were falling in the capital cities. Now, with just one interest rate cut, we have real estate values increasing by about 6% a year, with predictions that with 2 or 3 more cuts to come before the end of the year, we will have real estate growth of 12% in every state, except Victoria. Except Victoria. This is where, thanks to another totally incompetent Labor government, the highest taxes, highest unemployment, highest bankruptcies, lowest growth, no investment, no confidence, and they're broke. Yet the Andrews and now Allen government were returned with an increased majority. And according to a poll out yesterday, every prospect of a 4th term. A great example of an electorate getting exactly what it wanted. Go figure. Another shocking attack on the Jewish community in Victoria. Well, they're happening all over Australia, but Victoria seems to be the hotbed. To have a synagogue firebombed in this country is atrocious. Anti-Semitism, yes. What's the answer? More security? Let's start with the schools. Incorporate in the curriculum the incredibly important contribution made to this country and the world indeed by Jews. Government, science. I mean, you can add to this medicine, business, the military, our greatest general, Monash, the arts, show business, banking, philanthropy. Kids must grow up knowing how significant this community is to us all. Now just think about this for a second. I'm sure I got these figures right. Of the 965 Nobel Prizes awarded over the last 22 years, 216 of them have been won by Jews. That's more than 25%, more than any other country, race, people in the world. They would have to be the smartest people on the planet. Spend at least the same amount of time in the classroom talking about this as you do talking about Aboriginals and the contribution they make. That's my advice. A previous guest, and a wonderful, wonderful character on my program on a Friday. His name is Harry Young. Harry Young, ex-Spitfire pilot in World War II, 101 years young, has defended his title as the oldest tennis playing champion in the world on this weekend just gone by. Well done, sir. When you get back, I'll ring you and try and get you back on the program. You were a fantastic guest. If you're a regular listener or viewer of mine, you will know that I am not a fan of or a supporter of childcare centres. How does this guy, Joshua Brown, just 26 years old, find it possible to allegedly abuse 70 children, babies, in some 20 childcare centres, and probably a lot more, and go undetected? He had a working with children check. His alleged victims were aged 5 months. 5 months to 2 years. All in childcare. It makes a joke of the word care. Now we discover that this alleged perpetrator had a contagious venereal disease, necessitating some 1,200 children to be checked, tested. Can you imagine what these parents are going through? I have never understood why parents would have a child and then put him or her into childcare, let alone a baby only months old. Now I have proof positive of my prejudice. I would love to know the background of this guy. I really would. Remember, one child is abused in childcare each and every day in Australia. That's a fact. Only 6% of childcare workers are males. Yet they are arguably responsible for 100% of the sexual abuse. Why then are they employed? Why would any reasonable parent continue to have faith in childcare? You see, childcare is a growth industry, vigorously supported by huge government subsidies. Why? A child is best brought up by its parents. Why is the government so passionate about free childcare? Is it that they want to get their hands on the hearts and minds of our children as young as possible? Surrounded by welcome to country and rainbow flags, it's a time we as a community said no. No more. No more. What they are saying, the government, is, we have caused this cost of living crisis. We have made it impossible for you to survive unless you both work. But hey, we'll subsidise your childcare. What could possibly go wrong? Ask those poor little kids in the Creative Garden Child Centre what they think as they get checked for VD as young as 5 months old. What to do? Indeed, what to do? Well, I don't know. More effective background checks, national registration of all workers, a reliable, up-to-date database, a ban on mobile phones, which they use to photograph the evil things they do. Maybe. Why not just ban males? At least ban males from changing nappies. Spot checks. Yeah, why not? CCTV everywhere seems like a good idea to me. Is LGBTIQ staff a problem? You know, it's 10 years since there was a royal commission into the sexual abuse of children. 10 years, nothing came of it. All that money and time and recommendations and nothing done. It reminds me of the $100 million Royal Commission into aged care. Totally amazing. And these people get away with it. Jay Weatherall, former Premier of South Australia, has been appointed to investigate these shocking crimes in Victoria. He is the man who oversaw the worst sexual violation of children in the history of this state. To me, not an obvious choice for somebody to take charge of this situation in Victoria. But there you are. If I was a parent involved in this scandal, I would be writing to the Education Minister, one Jason Clare, demanding his resignation. There was a time, a more honourable time, when a minister would take responsibility. When HMS Melbourne cut the Frankie Evans, the American destroyer, in two, sending it to the bottom, with great loss of life. You might remember the sad event, I can't remember the year, but the then minister, Bert Kelly it was, Bert Kelly, immediately resigned. He wasn't there, he didn't do it, wasn't steering the ship, but he took ministerial responsibility and resigned. If the federal opposition could stop licking its wounds, wake up and put up some alternatives, like, for example, admit that it takes 2 incomes to achieve our dreams. Mind you, it wasn't too much different to that when I started out as a 20-year-old. You know, we would live on Kari's salary and we would bank mine. And our parents and grandparents would look after the baby. Nothing new in any of this. But if the Libs wanted to do something modern, they could introduce income splitting. Introduce income splitting. That would be a huge boost to every household. And mum could bring up the kids the way it used to be. You remember? You remember when it worked? You remember motherhood? The most important job in the world, motherhood. Well, this government could never bring itself to say that. The whole tax system could be rejigged to support the traditional idea of the family. But then the government couldn't get its hands on our kids. And that would never do. That's not socialism. You know, it was the Jesuits and then later Adolf Hitler adopted the saying. It was, give me a child for the first 7 years and I will have him for life. Watching those Smith family ads, you must have seen them pleading for support, donations. We have never seen so many people in need. Terrible need and desperation. We have never seen it so bad. Now, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Smith family. 100% of everything they raise goes to the cause. I know that. I was on the board for 10 years. But I would have to ask today's Smith family, why are you telling us all these sad facts? We didn't do it. If I was still on the board, those ads would be aimed at the federal government. Why not call it for what it is? This crisis is the result of 3 years of Labour Party policies, failed policies. Why can't you say it? Or do you think that what you're trying to deal with is some sort of coincidence? I don't. And here's another interesting story. Vanuatu and Tuvalu, and there'll be others of course, are standing Australia up against a wall. You'll give us what we want or the Chinese will. What do they want? An open border with Australia. I've got to ask, what are we frightened of? The Chinese taking over these clapped out South Pacific islands? Why would you worry about that when there are millions of Chinese right here on the mainland of Australia? There are millions of them right here, right now. And they are mostly wonderful people. So what's the problem? The Fijian Prime Minister, Sitivani Rabuka, he was at the press club on Wednesday of last week, I think it was. He as much as said, smart guy, call their bluff. Call their bluff. He didn't think the Chinese were lurking in the background, and I agree with him. There is no way that we should allow unrestricted access to our country from these Pacific islands. This government would probably want to, but then the public backlash, I predict, would be amazing. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, is not new. Many years ago, Labour and the then very sensible trade union movement put its foot down and created the White Australia policy to protect the jobs of workers from a flood of cheap overseas labour. Arthur Caldwell, Labour. Arthur Caldwell was the immigration minister, and he was simply putting Australia first, which is what this mob in Canberra just don't get. I've heard them drop that expression, putting Australia first. I see no evidence of it. Every nation has a right and a responsibility to protect its culture. Oh yes, they will protect the Aboriginal culture. No problem. We're here with the best wishes of the beautiful Rising Sun Inn, ladies and gentlemen, at 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. Our telephone number is 8333 0721. God help me if I get that number wrong. Grant and Jackie would kill me. If you're looking for a beautiful venue for a product launch or a quiet romantic dinner for two, a celebration, a wedding reception, anything, lots of atmosphere. The Rising Sun, regularly chosen as the best pub or inn in South Australia. When you see it, you will know exactly why. I put it down to open fires and atmosphere. And our other great sponsor is Jim Elder. Jim Elder Art Gallery in Melbourne Street, North Adelaide. Fine art. And the second auction will be coming up in about 6 weeks' time. Jim is actively out there looking for paintings to hang on the wall of that much sought-after auction. It goes all over the world, which means you're going to get the best price for that picture that, well, for probably fairly practical reasons you want to sell. If you'd like Jim or Helen to give you a free appraisal, just give them a call on 8267 2869. If you're looking to sell a painting, you really could not find a better person, a better outfit to do it. 4 notable auctions every single year. Call us, by the way, on Friday around the dining room table. We will be there. Technology allowing. No, I'm assured that it's going to be okay this Friday. 0491 65 68 60. We have some fantastic guests for you to meet on Friday. One particular lady, she is a shaman, she is a seer, she doesn't call herself a clairvoyant, but when I was inquiring as to what I should call her, Max Markson, who looks after her, manages her, he said, just call her Soul. So you'll meet Soul on Friday. And if you have any trouble getting the program, just remember you can get it, because this is Facebook and you get the video as well, but at the dining room table it's audio, and you can get this app called Simple Radio. And if you get the Simple Radio app, you will have me in the palm of your hand. How much time have I got, Pete? We're okay?
You're on a roll, so keep...
Okay, all right. The First Nations Assembly in Victoria, I have to talk to you about this. The Uruk Commission. I hadn't heard about this until the findings came out, and boy did they come out. They are demanding a treaty. Reparations, that means money. Pure and simple. Among the other 100 recommendations that this commission has made, with considerable authority and at great expense, they want to control water, mining, agriculture, and policy generally. Well, gee, I think that probably covers everything. What they didn't get with the voice federally, they will get another way through these state labour treaties and commissions, if we let them. That the Liberals in Victoria and South Australia, where these state-based voices have popped up, that the Liberals in Victoria and South Australia have not come out with a clear policy and a promise to disallow all this nonsense if they are elected is a considerable worry. What are you doing? Sitting on the fence? The Labor government won't, but someone must tell these truth-telling committees the truth. We don't owe you anything. There was never a nation, first or otherwise. There were some 280 to 290 mobs or clans. I've seen various guesstimates as to the population. Nationally, 300 to 500,000 people, but nobody knows exactly. Nomads, hunter-gatherers, no towns, cities or villages. No one had a title to any land. When the game ran out on that piece, people just moved on. No nation or understanding of a nation, certainly no flag. With colonization came civilization. If not the Brits, someone. Enough of this nonsense, for God's sake. All the money and apologies and all the rest of it, and you'll never satisfy those activists. I'm not talking about the ordinary Aboriginals, I'm talking about the industry. Aboriginals get $50 billion a year. $50 billion a year. This is generous and more than enough. Without white Australia, just where do you think you would be? Not recipients of $50 billion, I can tell you that. If your criticism is that you don't get the money, you must talk to the Labor government who decided that they had to set up an industry to handle the money because you couldn't. You see, I agree with you. Scrap the industry, the bloodsuckers, the elites, and give you the money. And then please shut up, for God's sake. And this is strange, but worth bringing up. We live in one nation. Presumably we are all equal, all to be treated the same. Yet if you're Aboriginal, news programs are not allowed to feature a likeness of, or a photograph of, or a mention of the name of an Aboriginal who has been deceased, unless permission has been given. And when I ask why, I'm told it's cultural. It's cultural. In that context, ladies and gentlemen, culture means something steeped in history, ages ago. Are you saying that Aboriginals back then had discovered photography, radio, television, newspapers? Anyway, why isn't that courtesy extended to everybody and not just Aboriginals? Do it for everybody. Treat everybody equally. I don't know if I can go on. Okay, one more. The Royal Commission. It's not a Royal Commission, I was going to say. The Royal College of General Practitioners is calling for Ozempic and Mounjaro. Now, these are these new weight loss drugs. Well, they're not new. They're not new. But this application is somewhat new. Anyway, what they're saying, the Royal College, is what I've been saying months ago, and that is these drugs should be on the PBS, the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, subsidised by the taxpayer, to the taxpayer of course, because in the long run it would be cheaper, much cheaper. Diabetes, just think of all of the things associated with obesity. Diabetes definitely, hip and joint replacements, huge problems and expenses. Stroke, heart disease, absolutely. along with pain and suffering, isolation and depression. Obesity costs the country, I looked it up, the figure that I found was nearly $12 billion a year. This is obesity. We got ads being paid for and put on television here in South Australia by the South Australian government talking about obesity. Well, that's not a solution. That's advertising. These drugs would cost just a fraction of that $12 billion that I just mentioned. That would be a huge boost to the bottom line and society generally. It is a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen, a no-brainer. I did want to mention one other thing, Pete, if I've got the time. Chloropicrin. Does anybody know what that is? Chloropicrin. It's poison gas. Poison gas, mustard gas, invented during the First World War and banned, made illegal shortly after, I think it was about 1925. A shocking weapon. It was designed to flush soldiers out of trenches into the open where they could be easier to kill. Now I mention this because that evil Vladimir Putin has authorized the use of this poison gas against Ukraine. Again, I ask this very important question. Where is the United Nations? Have not said one word about this violation. This violation of common decency and every treaty you could think of. Poison gas has been banned since 1923. What does the United Nations do? Oh, we talk about climate change. That's what we do. What a useless bunch of socialist nitwits. It's my passing final comment. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday. Peter Russell Clark died. I was so sorry to hear that. Peter Russell Clark, we used to have him regularly on the program at the old 5DN. He was a very good guest. He was, I suppose you could say, along with Graham Kerr, maybe the first cook, the first chef, first cooking program.
Graham Kerr is still active in Tasmania.
Gee, I didn't know that. I thought he'd gone to God.
A friend of Peter Nicholson's.
Oh, okay. We used to talk to him as well. But Peter Russell Clark, I think he was 89.
He was wonderful.
Yeah, and a good cartoonist as well. He was a Renaissance man, I think they call him. July the 8th. Reports are broadcast that a UFO, a UFO had crash landed in Roswell, New Mexico. Sorry.
Little green men.
Little green men. Well, they even had bodies that they showed on television. And the spaceship, I don't know. I've got an open mind. That was 1947, on this day. 4 boys are the first to be rescued after 16 days from that tunnel in Thailand. An international rescue team headed up by a great South Australian who's now our Lieutenant Governor. That was 2018. Kevin Bacon, American actor. Footloose. She's having a baby. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Kevin Bacon. I think there were 2 of them, weren't there, Pete? Bacon brothers?
No, I know. I didn't know another one.
Anyway, 1958 he was born. Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama departs on his first voyage. He will become the first European to reach India by sea. This day in 1497. Believe it or not. John Pemberton, does that name ring a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. John Pemberton, American pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
Same bell? Mm-hmm. Inventor of Coca-Cola. Born in Knoxville, Georgia. He died in 1888 and he was born this day in 1831. And his secret was, of course, that it had cocaine in it.
That's right. It was legal at the time.
No wonder it was popular, you see. I've never tried cocaine. Red grapes are about the most serious thing I've ever tried.
You haven't inhaled anyway.
No. Vivian Leigh, English actress, gone with the wind, a streetcar named Desire, dies of tuberculosis. Golly. She was only 53, 1967 was the year. Wonderful actress, beautiful lady. The First Crusade. 15,000 starving Christian soldiers march in religious procession around Jerusalem as its Muslim defenders look on in amazement. 1099 was the year. That would have been the First Crusade, yes. New York City authorizes the first police uniform to be worn in the American colonies, 1693, on this very day. Michael Weatherly, he's a very good actor. He was in NCIS and Bull. His portrayal of he wasn't a lawyer though, was he? He was a psychologist who what can I say? It wasn't jury tampering, it was just kind of jury interpreting, and anyway, it made for interesting viewing, I thought, for a television program. Lots of courtroom dramas around, but that was a good one. I don't know if it's still being made. 1968 he was born. The British girl group Spice Girls released their debut single, Wannabe, in the UK, 1996. Ferdinand von Zeppelin, German general and inventor, rigid dirigibles, who founded the Zeppelin Airship Company. He was born in the Grand Duchy of Baden in Germany. He died in 1917, but born this day in 1838. Ferdinand von Zeppelin. Dr. Benjamin Waterhouse gives the first cowpox vaccination in the United States to his own son to prevent smallpox. 1800 was the year. And Marvel superhero, the Fantastic Four, starring, all sorts of people, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, and Julian McMahon. This movie premieres on this day in 2005. Julian McMahon sadly died at a very young age. I think it was only something like 57. Died on the weekend.
Danny Minogue.
Married to Danny Minogue, and the son of Billy McMahon. Yep. Yes. Angelica Houston, American actress. The Addams Family as well. Born in Los Angeles, 1951. And one more. Ernest Borgnine, American Academy Award-winning actor. Marty, From Here to Eternity, McHale's Navy. The Poseidon Adventure, dies from renal failure at the age of 95. Good life well lived. 2012 was the year. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you tuning into Facebook and looking at these postings. And Andy Martin, who puts them out as just the audio around the podcasting neighbourhood. And I'll see you on Friday, 9 o'clock till 12, live streaming, jeremycordeaux.com, around the dining room table. Yes, now Les Ellicus is still in Europe, but Professor Ian Plimer will be with us, and lots of other interesting guests, I promise you. See you Friday. Believe in yourself. Thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, and goodbye for now.